And if I told you that 99% of your anxiety exists only because you are mentally living in a future that has not arrived and may never arrive, torturing yourself with scenarios that exist nowhere except in your imagination, while the present moment that you are actually experiencing right now contains no problem whatsoever, and that I can teach you a spiritual technique that collapses all worry instantly by anchoring your consciousness in the eternal now, where God resides, and anxiety cannot exist. What if I reveal to you that worry is not a natural response to life's challenges, but a learned addiction of the restless mind, a mental habit that serves absolutely no useful purpose, solves zero problems, and drains your life force while creating the very disasters you fear through the law of attraction that governs this universe? This is not philosophy or psychology or positive thinking. This is spiritual science that I discovered through decades of deep meditation, proving that anxiety is impossible when your consciousness rests fully in the present moment, because the present moment is always manageable, always contains only what is actually happening now, and when you handle now with full attention and divine trust, the future takes care of itself through the intelligent guidance of cosmic consciousness flowing through your intuition. I am Paramahansa Yogananda, and I have lived through world wars, personal losses, organizational crises, health challenges, and every variety of circumstance that typically triggers human anxiety. Yet I have maintained unshakable inner peace through the practice I am about to teach you, a practice that returns your wandering mind to the sacred now and dissolves worry like sunlight dissolves fog. Today, I give you the exact technique to eliminate anxiety and live in divine peace starting within the next 24 hours. Before we begin, activate the frequency of present moment consciousness by writing in the comments, "I release all anxiety and rest in God's eternal now." This is not a request for peace. It is a command from your soul to your restless mind, and by declaring it, you begin the process of liberation from the prison of chronic worry. Now pay absolute attention, because what I am about to reveal will expose the fundamental illusion that creates all anxiety. The catastrophic reason that anxiety has become the epidemic disease of modern civilization, affecting billions of people who live in constant low-grade panic about futures that mostly never materialize, is because the human mind has been trained to abandon the present moment and project itself endlessly into imaginary tomorrows, rehearsing disasters, preparing for threats, anticipating problems. And this mental time traveling creates a physiological stress response in your body, as if the imagined danger were actually happening now, flooding your system with cortisol and adrenaline, activating your fight or flight mechanisms, exhausting your nervous system, and worst of all, attracting the very circumstances you fear through the magnetic power of sustained emotional focus. Listen carefully to this truth that will set you free. Worry has never solved a single problem in the history of humanity. Worry is not productive planning. Worry is not intelligent preparation. Worry is not responsible concern. Worry is the mind's addiction to suffering, a habit of mentally rehearsing negative outcomes that feels like you are doing something useful when in reality you are doing something catastrophically harmful. You are using your divine creative power to visualize and emotionalize exactly what you do not want, thereby instructing your subconscious mind and the universal law of attraction to manifest those unwanted circumstances into your physical reality. I have watched thousands of students torture themselves with worry, spending hours each day imagining financial ruin that never comes, health disasters that never develop, relationship failures that never occur, career catastrophes that never materialize, and in the rare cases when something they worried about actually happens, the worry beforehand did absolutely nothing to prevent it or prepare them for it. It only robbed them of peace during the time before the event, and weakened their capacity to handle the event when it arrived. But I have also witnessed the opposite miracle. Students who learned the technique I am about to teach you, who discovered how to live fully in the present moment, who developed such trust in divine guidance that they stopped projecting their consciousness into imaginary futures. And these students reported something that shocked their rational minds. When they stopped worrying, their lives improved dramatically. Problems that seemed insurmountable resolved themselves effortlessly. Opportunities appeared that worry had been blocking. and they discovered a reservoir of inner peace so deep that external circumstances could no longer disturb their fundamental serenity. When I was training under my guru Sri Yukteswar in India, I was a young man prone to occasional anxiety about my spiritual progress, my worthiness. My ability to fulfill the mission that I sensed was before me. And one day I brought these worries to my guru expecting him to reassure me or give me encouragement. Instead, he said something that transformed my entire relationship with anxiety. Yogananda, show me your worry. I did not understand what he meant. He said, you claim you are worried, so show me this worry. Where is it? Is it in your hand? Can I touch it? Does it have weight or color or substance? I realized that worry existed only as thoughts in my mind, thoughts about futures that did not exist. He continued, now tell me what is actually wrong in this present moment. Not what might go wrong tomorrow or next year, but what is actually wrong right now. I looked around, the sun was shining, I was healthy, I was in the presence of my beloved Guru. I had food, shelter, and the opportunity to pursue spiritual realization. In that present moment, nothing was actually wrong. Sri Yukteswar smiled and said, this is the secret of peace. The present moment never contains unbearable problems. The present moment always contains only what is actually happening. And what is actually happening is always manageable when you bring your full attention and divine consciousness to it. It is only when your mind leaves the present and projects into imaginary futures or rehashes unchangeable pasts that anxiety arises. Stay here, stay now, stay with God who exists only in the eternal presence, and worry becomes impossible. This teaching became the foundation of everything I have taught about overcoming anxiety, and it has freed countless souls from the mental prison of chronic worry. Now, let me explain with absolute precision the mechanism through which anxiety operates and how present moment consciousness dissolves it, because once you understand this mechanism, you gain complete power over it. Your mind has three temporal modes. Past focused, where it replays memories and analyzes what already happened. Future focused, where it projects scenarios and imagines what might happen. And present focused, where it perceives what is actually happening right now. The present moment is the only reality that actually exists. The past is gone, existing only as neural patterns in your brain and karmic tendencies in your consciousness. The future has not arrived, existing only as probability waves of potential that collapse into specific outcomes based on your present choices and consciousness. Yet most people spend perhaps 5% of their mental energy in the present moment and 95% oscillating between past rumination and future anxiety, which means they are spending 95% of their consciousness in realms that do not actually exist. And this creates a profound disconnection from reality, from their own life force, from divine guidance, and from the peace that is always available in the now. When your mind projects into the future with worry, a complex chain reaction occurs in your entire system. First, your imagination creates a mental movie of negative outcomes, perhaps seeing yourself unemployed, sick, rejected, or failed. Second, your emotions respond to this imaginary movie as if it were real, generating fear, dread, panic, or despair. Third, your body responds to these emotions by activating stress hormones and defensive postures. Fourth, your subconscious mind accepts the intensely felt emotion as an instruction to expect this outcome and begins filtering all incoming information to confirm this expectation. Fifth, your vibrational frequency drops to match the fear emotion, and through the law of attraction, you begin magnetizing circumstances that match this frequency. And the tragic irony is that while this entire catastrophic cascade is occurring, nothing has actually happened in physical reality. You have done all this damage to yourself through mental time traveling to an imaginary future. But the moment you bring your consciousness fully back to the present moment, this entire mechanism collapses instantly, because in the present moment there is no fuel for anxiety, there is only what is actually occurring. And what is actually occurring is always something you can handle with divine assistance and focused attention. Now I give you the exact technique that I have practiced daily for decades and taught to every serious student of Kriya Yoga. The technique that eliminates anxiety by training your consciousness to live in the eternal now, where God's peace flows continuously. continuously. This practice has three components that must be applied together. The anchor breath that returns you to the present whenever anxiety arises. The nighttime surrender command that reprograms your subconscious relationship with the future, and the daily reality check that proves to your mind that the present moment is always safe. Let me teach you each component with absolute precision. The first component is what I call the anchor breath, and you will use this technique throughout your day every single time you notice anxiety beginning to arise in your consciousness. The moment you catch yourself worrying about the future or replaying painful past events, immediately stop whatever you are doing and perform this practice. Close your eyes if possible, or simply soften your gaze. Place your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your abdomen. Take one very slow, very deep breath, inhaling through your nose for a count of 6, holding for a count of 3, exhaling through your mouth for a count of 6, and holding empty for a count of 3. As you inhale, say silently, I am here. As you hold the breath, say silently, I am now. As you exhale, say silently, I am safe in God. As you hold empty, say silently, I release all worry. Repeat this breathing sequence 3 times, and on the third exhale, deliberately release all mental images of future scenarios and bring your attention fully to your immediate sensory experience. What do you actually see right now? What do you actually hear right now? What do you actually feel in your body right now? This anchoring in direct sensory experience pulls your consciousness out of imaginary time and plants it firmly in present reality. The anchor breath takes less than 90 seconds, but it interrupts the anxiety spiral completely and proves to your nervous system that right now, in this present moment, you are actually safe. The key is to use this technique the instant you notice worry arising, not after you have already spent 20 minutes catastrophizing and working yourself into full panic. Catch the anxiety early, use the anchor breath immediately, and you will discover that most worries dissolve instantly when you refuse to feed them with continued attention. The second component is the nighttime surrender command that you will practice in the state of quietude 60 seconds before sleep. And this technique reprograms your subconscious mind's entire relationship with the future, transforming it from a source of threat into a field of divine possibility. Tonight, as you lie in bed ready for sleep, take 10 slow deep breaths to relax your body completely while keeping your mind alert and focused. Then place both hands over your heart and speak this command silently in your mind with absolute conviction and intense feeling. I release all anxiety about tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. The future is not mine to control. The future is God's domain. My only responsibility is to live this present moment with full consciousness, loving attention, and divine trust. I command my subconscious mind to stop projecting disaster scenarios and start trusting the intelligent universe that has sustained me every moment of my life. I am not alone navigating an uncertain future. I am eternally held in divine consciousness that knows exactly what I need and guides me through intuition, synchronicity, and grace. I let go of the illusion of control. I surrender to divine timing. I trust the process. I rest in the eternal now, where God dwells and anxiety cannot exist. This is not my wish. This is my command. This is not my hope. This is my identity. I am a soul anchored in the present moment, living each day as it comes, handling what actually arises with divine assistance, and releasing all mental movies about futures that do not exist. As you speak these words silently, you must generate the feeling of profound surrender, not the surrender of defeat or helplessness, but the surrender of wisdom, recognizing that your anxious attempts to control the future through worry are not only ineffective but actively harmful. Feel yourself releasing an enormous weight that you have been carrying unnecessarily. Feel yourself sinking into trust the way a child trusts completely in a loving parent. Feel the relief of letting go of responsibility for outcomes beyond your control. Hold this feeling of surrender and trust as you drift into sleep, and your subconscious will process this command throughout the night, reorganizing your neural patterns around peace instead of anxiety. The third component is what I call the daily reality check, and this is a practice you will perform each evening before your nighttime surrender command. A practice that trains your conscious mind to recognize the pattern that 99% of your worries never materialize. At the end of each day, take 3 minutes to review your day and ask yourself these questions. What did I worry about today? Of those worries, how many actually manifested into real problems? Of the real problems that did occur today, how many of them did I worry about beforehand? Write down your answers for 7 consecutive days, and you will discover something that will shock your rational mind. Almost nothing you worried about actually happened. And most of the actual challenges you faced were things you had not worried about, which means your worry was completely useless as a prediction tool and completely useless as a preparation tool. This reality check provides empirical evidence that dismantles your mind's justification for worry. Your mind believes that worrying is useful, that it is keeping you safe, that it is helping you prepare. But 7 days of honest data will prove beyond doubt that worry serves no function except torturing you unnecessarily. Once you have this evidence, you can speak to your mind with authority. Mind, I have proof that worry is useless. I have documented that 99% of what I worried about never happened. Therefore, when you present me with worried thoughts about the future, I will recognize them as false alarms, mental habits with no basis in reality. And I will immediately use the anchor breath to return to the present moment where I am actually safe. This evidence-based approach is powerful because your rational mind cannot argue with data from your own experience. Now let me tell you exactly what will happen in the next 24 hours after you begin this practice tonight. Because the shifts occur faster than anxious minds expect, and you must recognize them as confirmation that the technique is working. Tonight, when you perform the surrender command before sleep, you will likely experience a physical sensation of relief in your chest and shoulders, as if a tight band has loosened, because you are releasing tension that has been held chronically in your body. This is your nervous system responding to the permission you have given it to stop being on high alert about the future. Tomorrow morning when you wake, notice the quality of your first thoughts. For most anxious people, the mind immediately begins listing all the concerns and worries for the coming day before they even get out of bed. But after your nighttime surrender command, you may notice a subtle spaciousness, a moment of peace before the worry thoughts begin. And this space is your consciousness starting to default to present moment awareness instead of future anxiety. As you move through your day tomorrow, the critical moment will come when something triggers your habitual worry response. Perhaps you will check your bank account and anxiety about money will spike. Or you will think about an upcoming deadline and panic will begin rising. Or you will feel a physical sensation and health anxiety will activate. This is when you must immediately use the anchor breath. Stop, close your eyes, hand on heart, breathe with the 4 phrases. I am here, I am now, I am safe in God. I release all worry. And here is what you will notice. The anxiety that normally would escalate into a 30-minute worry spiral will instead dissipate within 90 seconds of using the anchor breath. You will return to calm, you will return to the present, and you will be able to take whatever practical action is actually required without the paralysis and distortion that anxiety creates. By the evening of your first day, when you perform your reality check, you will see clearly that none of the things you worried about today actually became serious problems. And this evidence will begin weakening your mind's belief that worry serves a useful purpose. But I must give you critical understanding, so you apply this technique wisely and do not misinterpret what I am teaching. Present moment consciousness does not mean becoming passive, irresponsible, or failing to plan intelligently for the future. There is a profound difference between worry and wise planning. Wise planning involves calmly assessing your current situation, clarifying your desired outcomes, identifying practical steps you can take now, and then taking those steps with focused attention while trusting divine intelligence to handle what is beyond your control. Worry involves obsessively imagining negative scenarios, emotionally reacting to those imaginary scenarios as if they were real, and then paralyzed by fear, taking either no action or frantic scattered action. You can plan for tomorrow without worrying about tomorrow. You can prepare responsibly while remaining anchored in present peace. The key is to ask yourself, is what I am doing right now productive action or mental suffering? If you are researching solutions, making phone calls, organizing resources, creating contingency plans, you are engaged in productive action, which is perfectly compatible with present moment consciousness. But if you are sitting immobilized, replaying worst-case scenarios in your mind, feeling your stomach churn with dread, you are engaged in worry, which serves absolutely no purpose and should be interrupted immediately with the anchor breath. Furthermore, understand that some anxiety is a signal from your intuition that something actually requires your attention. If you feel anxious about an upcoming conversation, perhaps your intuition is telling you to prepare more carefully for that conversation. If you feel anxious about your health, perhaps your intuition is telling you to schedule a medical checkup. The spiritual approach is not to suppress all anxiety, but to listen to the message it might contain. Take whatever practical action is indicated, and then release the emotional suffering through present moment practices. If there is something you can do now about the situation causing anxiety, do it now, then release the worry. If there is nothing you can do now, then worrying serves zero function and should be released immediately through the anchor breath and surrender to divine timing. I have spent my entire life demonstrating that spiritual realization and practical effectiveness in the world are not opposites but partners. That the person who lives most fully in the present moment with divine consciousness is actually more capable, more creative, more effective in handling life's challenges than the person who lives in chronic anxiety about the future. Anxiety clouds judgment, paralyzes action, drains energy, and attracts problems. Present moment consciousness clarifies perception, enables decisive action, generates energy, and attracts solutions. The anxiety-ridden person lies awake at night rehearsing problems and wakes exhausted, unable to think clearly or act effectively. The present moment person surrenders the future to God before sleep, sleeps deeply, and wakes refreshed with clear intuition guiding their actions. Over time, this difference compounds into completely different life trajectories. The anxious person creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of disaster through their worried vibration and poor decision-making. The present moment person navigates challenges with grace and creates positive outcomes through their peaceful vibration and clear intuition. I have witnessed this pattern in thousands of students over decades of teaching, and the evidence is overwhelming. Anxiety destroys lives, while present moment consciousness creates thriving. The technique I have given you today is not a temporary stress reduction tool, but a fundamental transformation of your relationship with time, with control, with the future, and ultimately with God. When you truly understand that you are not alone navigating an uncertain universe, but are eternally held in divine intelligence that loves you infinitely and guides you perfectly, anxiety becomes not only unnecessary but absurd. How can you worry when you trust completely? How can you fear the future when you know that divine consciousness orchestrates all circumstances for your ultimate evolution? The answer is you cannot. And this is why deep meditation practice and surrender to God's will are the ultimate anxiety treatments that far surpass any pharmaceutical or psychological intervention, because they address the root cause, which is the illusion of separation from your divine source. Tonight you have a choice that will determine the quality of every remaining day of your life. You can continue living in the prison of anxiety, projecting your consciousness into imaginary futures, torturing yourself with scenarios that mostly never happen, draining your life force and creating the very disasters you fear. Or you can begin the practice I have given you, anchoring yourself in the present moment where God dwells and peace flows continuously, surrendering the future to divine intelligence, proving to yourself through empirical observation that worry serves no useful function, and gradually becoming a person who lives in unshakable serenity regardless of external circumstances. The technique is simple, but it requires your commitment. It requires that you actually perform the nighttime surrender command the night before sleep, that you actually use the anchor breath tomorrow whenever anxiety arises, that you actually conduct the daily reality check for 7 consecutive days. Knowledge without application is completely useless. You can understand intellectually everything I have taught today, but if you do not practice the technique, nothing will change in your anxiety level and you will continue suffering unnecessarily. But if you apply this teaching with faith and consistency, understanding that you are not working alone, but accessing the infinite peace of divine consciousness through these practices, then 24 hours from now, you will have experienced moments of genuine peace that prove the technique works. 7 days from now, your baseline anxiety level will have dropped noticeably. 30 days from now, you will have developed such strong present moment awareness that worry becomes increasingly rare. And 1 year from now, you will look back in amazement at how much mental suffering you were enduring that has now dissolved. Subscribe to this channel and activate the notifications, because the teachings I am releasing represent the practical essence of Kriya Yoga adapted for modern psychological challenges. Teachings that were traditionally available only to advanced disciples, but which I am now offering freely to all who genuinely seek liberation from mental suffering. Write in the comments right now, I release all anxiety and rest in God's eternal now. This declaration activates your commitment and invites the divine support that rushes to assist every soul who sincerely seeks peace. The teaching has been given, the technique has been revealed. The peace you seek is not somewhere in the future after your circumstances improve. The peace you seek is available right now in the present moment where you actually exist. Stop running toward an imaginary tomorrow. Stop fleeing from an unchangeable yesterday. Come home to now. Come home to here. Come home to the eternal present, where God is waiting with infinite peace for you to simply stop, breathe, and recognize what has always been true. You are safe. You are loved. You are held in divine consciousness, and there is nothing to fear. Begin tonight. Transform yourself from a chronic worrier into a present moment master. The eternal now is calling you home.